Ishiotuberosities, they're called. And just trying to find those and back and forth here, left and right, picking up from one sits bone and then placing it down and coming on to the other one. Oh, this smells good. I think it's getting just to like 70 something today. Yesterday was in the 80s. So yeah, and just some little back and forth here are nice. Maybe start to pick up one heel as you lean over from one side to the other. And just start to feel that kind of stirring motion, right? From one direction to the other. I want to put my hands out, arms out. I'm going to start stretching out that a little bit too. So working, pumping into the feet, really good to do that on a regular basis, and or taking ankle rotations too, just, so we keep that blood flowing, so we don't have any kind of clotting issues and things like that. So now I'm going to stay over to one side. I'm going to really let my body come over, and then bring myself up. And I'm going to come over to this other side. I might as well lift that heel on the opposite foot too. Really pull myself over. Come on back. Lift heel, come over. This time, maybe take my arm just straight up, all right? So one arm out from my shoulder, the other one finger straight up towards the sky. Pull back on that shoulder just a bit. And then come up, hand down. Lift other heel up, arm straight up. Come on over. Good. And then leaning ourselves up. Arms both come up. Nice inhale. And then let's go ahead, lift up on both heels. And let's take our whole body over to the side, really pressing down into this sits bone because it wants to pop up, right? So press down, and that's going to help lengthen that side body a little bit more. Press down into the balls of your feet. Come on up. Relax your heels down. Lengthen up balls of the feet if you want to add that. Come on over. Keep pressing down with this sits bone now. Really lengthening up. Goalpost arms. Bring myself up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, take it into cactus. Open up hard. Oh, yeah, if you could ever take your practice outside. And I know some of us are linked to not a laptop, but desktop. And those are not so movable, right? But if you have anything that you can move, like an iPad, even your phone, I reminded today, let's do two more. Chris, who was wondering if she could Zoom on her phone. She just got a new phone. I said, oh yeah. I said, for the first 9 months or so, exhale down of this whole Zooming. I was doing it on a phone, and now with my iPad, I think, how did I do that? Everybody was so little, and I could hardly see myself, and this and that. But anyways, so if you can, it's really a nice feeling. Let's go ahead and take some circles with that whole torso. Feet are flat, and you're just again kind of feeling that connection of those ishiotuberosities with your chair. Maybe taking your arms into it as well, with a little bit of pull. And I'm going to reverse. And I'm going to focus my attention to not just on movement, but breath. That's what makes this yoga. When they're doing these exercises with Mark, I'm thinking if they just added breath to that, it would make so much more sense. Go ahead and sit up straight. Like they want him to do these, whatever, maybe it's a kick out and then lower. And he has a tendency to go too fast. So I said, honey, take it with your breath. If you inhale and then take it down slowly on your exhale, you're not going to let gravity let yourself drop. So that's just something that all of us can maybe remember and not feel like we have to rush through things, but take it with our breath or give it with our breath. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and extend our feet forward onto the very bone of the back of the heel there. And let's extend out, maybe hold on to, you don't come out of your chair. Extend out in that external rotation. Bring your feet up. and then bring them in. So maybe our heels need to come out a little bit more. And so we're working again with that external and internal rotation. Here's internal going on right now. Here's neutral. Here's external. And again, I'm going to hold on so that I don't end up falling out of my seat in front of you all. That would be not good. Come into neutral. Although, if so, I feel comfortable enough with you guys. If I fell out of my chair, I would be just fine getting up and laughing it off. Come back to neutral. Come on out. Pull back on those toes. Push out through the heels. Neutral. And one more time. And then bend slightly into your knees. Your feet can come to the ground. And then let's just go back and forth. Or maybe come on to the heels. Actually, that's better than keeping the feet to the ground. And taking what we call windshield wipers. And that just, again, is moving hips, legs, internally and externally, rotating them. And I'm going to go ahead and take my boots off. Doesn't seem like I need them anymore. I have this difficulty sometimes coming into the transition of spring. I always feel like I still want to be covered up so that I don't catch cold. And I know people say, oh, you don't catch cold that way, but I don't know. Some of my training that I've had, my teachings, I should call it, let's go ahead and interlace hands behind you, have been that these are really open areas of our body, the back of our neck and right here. So I just kind of want to keep myself really protected there with a scarf or something until I really know this weather's here. And it works pretty well. That and then all this mask wearing has kept me from being sick for a long time. Press your hands together. Lift your hands up, shoulders squeezing. And then from here, let's take 3 or 4 circles in one direction. So the difference is that we don't have our hands connected to the chair. And we've got to work into our obliques a little bit more here. And then coming back, go ahead and release. Shake those hands out. And then let's take our flamenco hands. Gotta think, is it flamenco or flamingo? Flamenco hands. And then sometimes we come into flamingo posture. That's a nice standing, balancing posture in the flamingo. And then taking it and coming on down. Shake them out. I'm going to take one hand to the front leg of my chair. My other arm comes up. Lengthen. Breathe. And come on over. Exhale. Come on up. Take it on down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, take it over. Inhale, rise. Take it on down. You move with your breath now, okay? So your inhale may be longer or shorter than mine. And whatever it is, it's perfect for you, right? Because you're being mindful of it. You're working with that breath to find your length and your extension and your depth. You're working with it to find balance, calm, steadiness, flow. When we do this movement with breath, as simple or as complex as those movements might be, this is when we're in a vinyasa type yoga format. Breath and movement. One more time each side. And the longer you do your yoga practice, especially when you're really working with your breath, you're going to realize that you can breathe fewer times in a minute because you're extending out that breath. You're really working that diaphragm to have that, that diaphragmatic breathing, that deep diaphragmatic breath. All right, good. All right, now let's go ahead and work our ankle. I'm going to take one foot in, cross the other one over, if that is agreeable to you. If not, cross it on down. down the way. And let's go ahead and take some ankle rotations with the upper foot. I like being out here because I can time, look at the birds, wave to my neighbor that's just coming by now. And then take that foot and then let's flex it. Feel that back into your calf and let's point it. Feel that here in your shin area. And go ahead and flex and point. Flex and point. Good. And then if you're here, we're going to open up with the hip open, okay? If you're here, we're going to see if we can get our foot into a figure 4 position here. And this is a good way to work into like a pigeon pose, okay? So flexing the foot, you're going to feel that more. And this is our area of focus right back here. And I'm going to just take my knees, my legs, and I'm going to shift them left and right. And I'm going to feel that in my hips. And again, what are we doing here? One will externally rotate while the other one internally rotates and vice versa. Really more conscious of this, having taken this prenatal yoga class and the importance of all 360-degree movement of our hip and our pelvic area, right? Okay, and then stand up straight with your torso. And let's go ahead and flow here. Hold on to maybe knee and shin and take your chest forward, looking up, chest comes down, and then curl into yourself. Bring yourself up and pull yourself forward. And keep going. I'm just going to move the screen back just a little bit to make sure that it's not going to get into the sun. Don't want that. Denise will know, especially what will happen if your camera gets into direct sunlight. You don't want that. So go ahead and keep that flow going. I had this leg up. No, I had this one up. No, I had this one up. Forward and back. And 2 more. And using your arms like you are rowing, okay? Using them like you're rowing, pulling. So you'll be able to get some work into the upper arms there. And now from here, let's go ahead and hold on to your foot, hold on to your knee, sit up really straight. Maybe you're down here, so you're not sitting up so straight, and that's okay. Be wherever you are. And then try to push your foot into your hand, okay? So pushing my foot into my hand is an isometric activity. So my hand's not going anywhere, my foot's not going anywhere. They're pushing into each other with the exact amount of pressure. I'm feeling that right here as I continue to kind of lift in and push into my knee as well. All right, so it's like I'm trying to bring both hands in, all right, onto this knee and this foot that aren't going anywhere. Again, just strengthening my arms and feeling that even deeper sensation into my hips. And then exhale, whoo, release out of that. And I'm getting warm, it feels good. Go ahead and take the one foot down. Now I think, did I really have my winter coat on and my boots on here just a little while ago? And let's go ahead and cross that leg over. And here we've got 2 internally rotated knees. Whenever you come into this cross position, maybe some of you sit like this, go ahead and start that ankle rotation. If you do, that's great. I used to hear, oh, don't sit that way, you'll get varicose veins. Well, I think that's if you just constantly stay in this position. And you guys know now that we need to be, go ahead and reverse, balancing things, right? So if you find yourself crossing over this way mostly, then every minute or 2, just uncross and go in the opposite direction, okay? The opposite cross. And then changing up, right? So that we don't continue to maintain that same position all the time. Go ahead and just come into some flexes and some points. Opening up here, opening up the ankle. Working on the Achilles as well. Really good for strengthening legs, for walking, for stability, We can do that here in this seated position. Good. And then I'm going to go ahead, and again, some of you might be here, that's okay. And I'm going to open up my knees. So some of you are down here, you've lifted it up. Maybe you've taken a block underneath you to keep that hip open, or maybe you're up here. Right? If you're up here, then just take your hands into any location that feels right for you. Just like if you're down below too, it's just that if you're down below, you might have that incline going on. So I'm pulling back on my foot, sitting up straight and tall here. And then bringing myself forward and taking myself for a little ride. Holding on. And finding breath that moves you. Let your breath be like music. Music moves you. Let your breath move you. 2 more, please. Chest forward and then curl and tuck it around to yourself. And then coming up slowly. I'm gonna go ahead and take my hand to my foot, the sole of my foot, my other hand at my knee. And maybe you're down here, that's okay. I'm just gonna begin that pressing foot into hand, pressing hand into knee, trying to like squeeze into myself here. Using whatever kind of strength and imagination and visualization that I need to stay here strong, powerful, flexing, pushing, breathing. Good. And then go ahead and release that. Let's take some shoulder rolls back. Feet are grounded, hips are, or feet are about hips distance, or whatever is comfortable for you. Let's take about double the amount going backwards that we do forward. And just take a few forward, right? Here, and not bringing in so much of equality, because we are so often this way in our daily life. So we need to, in our practice, maybe to be a little bit more heart lifted, shoulders back. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start with a block if you have one. If not, no worries. I'm going to go ahead and spread out my knees and my feet a little bit more. I'm going to take a block onto the outside of one of my feet. You guys can mirror me, or just make sure you change to the other side the next time. Take my hand onto that block. So we're going to come into, I have an extended side angle. I'm going to lift my arm up all the way. Take it over. Exhale. From here, I'm going to lift up here. And then exhale over. Press into that block. Lift up. Exhale. Lift up. Take it over. Use your breath. Keep going. Vinyasa flow here. Maybe find yourself with a little more reach, a little more depth, just maybe more ease in this movement. I know because I recorded last week's classes the week before. In my other classes, let's do 2 more. I had subs for, so I didn't do any yoga through the week until Saturday and Sunday. Come on up. Exhale, hands down. And before we go to the other side, go ahead and let your knees cave in, come to the insides of your feet. And so those were with my prenatal yoga trainings and the class that I taught for that. And then Sunday night, I did my sunset yoga class for Evolve Strong. So I was really sore yesterday, and I still am today. So I know what that's like, all right? But I also know what it's like to have a practice where you're doing it regularly and you don't come into all those different aches from your practice. And come on back. And when that stops, right, when you stop feeling, oh, I'm really sore here from what we did, that soreness is just soreness. That's not pain that's going to stay with you forever. That is, I opened up my intercostal muscles. I worked the side of my body. Hadn't done that for a while, so you might feel it. And then you continue doing it, and that's when we stop feeling that, okay? Because you've built those muscles, you've expanded and worked them. All right, so I'm going to take the block to the outside of my other foot, maintaining my knees in a nice open way. So maybe you feel like you want to bring your knees in more. Maybe you want to take them out more, but have your feet grounded nicely flat wherever they are, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and come here and then bring my hand down to the block and take my arm over, keeping the sits bones planted, because this one wants to come up like we did at the beginning. Plant it down and open up the shoulder, pulling it back. And my legs, my knees continue to open up. And inhale, lift. And exhale. Bring it on up. Take it on over. And as you come up, think about that expansion too, okay? So we're expanding here, lengthening. But can you do that from the center out as well, pushing those fingers out, engaging through your arm muscles? And are we using breath? And now, so flow, breath with movement. For me, I exhale here. I inhale here. One more time. Finding myself here, taking my hands onto my knees. And this time, instead of coming in, I want to take myself onto the outside edges of my feet. Remove those blocks. I take my hands on the inside of my knees. You don't want anything forceful here. You just want a little bit of weight. If you feel like you want some more opening in the groin area. If not, then not, okay? So work in the way that feels good to you. And as we're just keeping this little weighted going into our hands and to our knees, just gonna take some upper chest movements here. And we're moving the chest, but that also takes muscle strength. Those are those intercostal ribs and your obliques as well. And then coming back to center, placing my feet flat and down. And I'm going to go ahead and do some more work here with the block and with my legs in this position. So I'm going to go ahead, lift up one arm, take the other hand down to that block again, like I was earlier. But now I'm going to have a free-flowing arm. I want to take it and make big circles, working into my rotator cuff. Another really important joint. You know, all of our joints are important. Some of them are replaceable, you know, like Mark's knee. People have shoulders that are replaced, hips that are replaced. But there's some things that are not replaceable. And if we stay moving, then hopefully we'll be able to keep our parts. And even if they're mechanical parts, we need to move, right? Let's reverse. That's what they keep telling him. If he doesn't move, they don't really have to tell him that because he's moving a lot. But the scar tissue forms, and then that impedes you from any progress or ability to get back to where you were before. Two more. And then taking that arm over and find strength in that upper arm, in your upper body, lightness on your hand on the block, okay? because I'm going to ask you to take that other hand up. If that doesn't feel right, keep it down. But as you do this, you're really working into the abdominal cavity there. And breathe, because we're not moving right now, but that doesn't mean we don't move our diaphragm, and breathe. And I'm taking that hand down and I'm lifting up here. And I'm exhaling down. Before I go to the other, I'm going to lean forward a bit. I'm going to take one shoulder forward and come into a twist. Just feel like my body really needs that after what I just did. Looking out over my back shoulder. And then bringing myself forward. Taking the opposite shoulder forward and the other one back into that twist. Bringing myself up. One more time each side, I think would be really good. And to hang in there for 2 or 3 breaths. And bring myself up. And take myself over. I love seeing everything that's coming up, all the plants. They're so happy. Beautiful spring. Bring yourself back up. And then let's take ourselves to the other side. And again, if you don't have a block, then you've attached yourself to your anatomy, all right? Or if you don't want to go down that far, you can attach yourself to your chair's anatomy, okay? So hand on block or wherever you are reaching it, bringing that top shoulder back. Lift your arm up and take it over. And just find that lengthening going on there. Find your feet firmly planted so that your sits bones are planting evenly as well into the chair as your feet are into the ground. A couple big long breaths here. And then let's begin those circles, that free flow movement. Maybe noticing that one shoulder may feel a little more or a little less than the other, and that's okay. That is because our bodies, even though we think they're symmetrical, they really aren't. They don't all do the same thing on one side as the other. And go ahead and take that around in the opposite direction. Letting your chest open as well. Letting your head go with that arm, or letting it stay low or stay more neutral towards me. One more round. And then find yourself here. Find length and strength. Find less pushing down or into your leg or the block, or staying there if you would rather not lift up into this a little more challenging position. Okay. And it's challenging us in our abdominal area. Lengthen with your breath. Find depth with your breath. And then hand down. And then find yourself up. Both arms rise. Take them behind you. Push down into the chair behind you, right? And let's do a bit of camel pose. So I'm pushing down into the chair. I'm looking up, letting my heart rise up, opening up my legs a little bit more, pressing my feet into the ground, squeezing shoulders, lifting chin, or maybe just lifting the bridge of my nose so that I don't come back into my cervical spine as much. It really depends on your neck, your body. And then bring yourself back. And let's walk our feet in so that we have a more neutral stance coming into our Tadasana, our mountain pose here. And let's just take a couple breaths before we go any farther in the practice today. Breathing in and out through your nose. And if anything ever comes and inhibits that breathing in and out of your nose, for instance, AKA allergies, perhaps, then breathe wherever you can and however you can. one thing I learned with the prenatal yoga is that because of all that extra blood flow that is occurring, that increase in blood in a pregnant woman's body, that sometimes they can form mucus in the nose. And so breathing in and out of their nose is not always compatible for where they are. The same thing for us, pregnancy or not. Breathe, 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 and however that might be. I always think that if you can take it in and out of your nose, that is preferable, just because that's what our bodies were meant to do. Mark just read a really good book on breath, and there's a lot of really good tips in there. So we're going to just take a little vinyasa flow again. We're going to slide down our shins, come with a flat spine, and then bring ourselves up. Let our heart shine. Exhale, take it down, flat spine. Okay, so heart is not going, head is not going lower than the heart. Inhale in. So just take it nice and easy. Come forward, bring yourself up. Take yourself down. Bring yourself up. Exhale down. Again, maybe finding with your breath and with this continual motion that you're able to go a little deeper, open up the heart a little bit more. Let's do 2 more. And on the second, hold in the down position. So your flat spine, right? Looking straight down. I want you to stay here if you have any problem with dizziness or anything like that. Just stay here and keep strong through your core and into those lower back muscles. And if you like to go farther, you can take and rest your chest on your sides. And then only if you feel right about it, you can let your heavy head go. Otherwise, keep your head so that it's not lower than your heart. Okay. Take some breath. Good. And now we're going to ragdoll up. So coming from that straight spine, you're going to come into curved spine. Coming in from that forward fold with head down, your spine is already curved. Take slowly up. Chin lifts away from your chest. We rise up here. Right. And I just realized when we did figure 4 earlier, we didn't do something on one side and we did on the other, but oh well. It just came to my mind. All right, let's go ahead and keeping our feet like this. Take the blocks to the outside of your feet and let's just look at our feet. Mine, again, always wants to move forward on that right side, not sure why. But having those blocks there can help us keep our feet in place. And from here, we're just going to press down on the blocks with your hands. If that's a lot on your wrists, then go into fists on the blocks, okay? And all we're going to do from here is scoot out one leg, lengthen it out, keeping our back nice and straight, okay? And one leg coming out, pulling back if you'd like, and the toes coming towards you. So flexing into that foot a bit. And then sliding that foot back, looking down so you can, my feet are even. Slide the other foot forward, other leg stretches out. Feel that in the calf especially. And also pulling in at the kneecap to protect that knee and using those muscles in your quadricep area. Your gaze is down at an angle so that you're keeping your cervical spine in alignment with the rest of your spine. Slide that foot back in, line them up. Let's take one more slide forward. And if you're on a rough cement type ground like I am, sliding my heel forward and back is like going and having a pedicure, and they're taking that file and they're filing off all that extra skin that I get on my heel from wearing the shoes that I do when I'm outside working. I've switched feet, bringing that back. And from here, I'm going to take both legs out, still maintaining a straight spine here, having my hands on those blocks. If you didn't have blocks, your hands are anywhere but not pressing on your knees. And I should have said that sooner. So maybe on your thighs or on your shins or holding onto the chair. That works as well. I can still keep a straight spine, almost like I'm flying. Just don't push the chair back so far that you slip off of it, okay? And from here, we're just going to undulate. So I'm going to let my elbows bend, come in, down, and around. Come back to that straight spine 2 more times. Kind of like a snake. And then I'm going to go backwards, bring myself back, curl into myself, bend into my elbows, and come forward 2 more times. And find where you are using your breath right now without me saying inhale, exhale. And then slide both feet back. And let's go ahead, take hands to your knees, and then sit up straight and tall here. Take a couple breaths here in our mountain pose. And then let's go ahead and work into our eagle arms and eagle legs. All right, so first we're going to work with the legs. I'm going to take one foot in, take the other one over, and just like before, any modification can be just sliding that foot down. All right, or taking and using a block. And when we do this, maybe you already know there's some sensation in those hips from the work we did earlier. Okay, so keeping yourself here, or maybe you take it around the back and you're trying to point both of the knees forward as much as possible. There'll be some angling, obviously, but in other words, we don't have all of the knees going this way, both the knees going that way. They're more forward than they are to one side or the other. And from here, we're just going to take a few links or squeeze and release into that pelvic dome. Okay, these little blinks. And that's just going to help with toning, or maybe to just balance. That's what we really want in that pelvic floor. We want balance. So we're just going to do that in these eagle legs. And then we're going to stop that. We're going to keep the legs crossed here. I have my right over my left. Maybe you have your left over your right. Doesn't really matter. Raise your arms up. Inhale. Whichever leg is on top, okay, that arm goes under when you cross, okay? And then I go ahead and come in and hug myself. Know that I'm worthy, know that I'm enough, following through with our meditation that we had today. Hug, hug, hug. And then go ahead, if you want, to release your arms into that full eagle, where our forearms are perpendicular to the ground. I'm going to lift up, inhale. Exhale, take it down with my chin to my chest. Okay, I'm not coming all the way to my knee, just lifting up. And exhale, elbows into chest, chin to chest. Inhale, lift. Looking up at the clouds. Exhale, down. This time lift. 2 circles in one direction. And 2 circles in the opposite direction. Raising ourselves up. Exhale, take your elbows to your knee and let your head come in between your biceps, maybe. And let your arms start to kind of relax, where the forearms come into a more downward position. Feel that in your shoulders. And then bringing your forearms back towards your head, lifting your head up, lifting your spine straight. Reach up and exhale. Ooh. Let's fly a few times before we release our legs. Are you inhaling here? Are you exhaling here? Are you taking it at your rate? Good. And then let's go ahead and uncross the legs. Before we go into the other side, come into slight bent knees onto your heels, and let's windshield wiper. Again, just opening and closing up those hips, letting them know that there's so much room for rotation in them, for movement, right? That we believe in our hips. They are our meeting point of the upper body and the lower body, and we've got to work them so they know that we're paying attention to them. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and switch. The opposite foot comes on top. So that will be my left is going to cross over now. And see which one works for you. Just do the opposite. Let's go ahead and take some rotations with that ankle. Feel that in your shin, in your calf, and let's reverse. Noticing that that joint also, how valuable and important those ankle joints are for us. And then just a few points and flexes. And again, wherever that knee has crossed is great. If you want, you can take the other foot behind you, sitting up straight and tall here. Taking a few breaths. Let's go ahead and take a few blinks. And maybe blink with your hands, blink with your fists. Feel that anal, that vaginal area, just taking little squeezes, little pulses, okay? It's important no matter what stage of life we're in to guide and guard that sacral area of ours. And then releasing, maybe shaking out your hands. And let's go ahead and rise our arms up. Now my left leg is over my right. So now my left arm is coming under my right. Okay, so if you have the opposite, then just do the opposite. Come into that hug into self. Maybe looking down at your heart. Opening up the shoulders, pulling them down, opening them up wider. And then leaving them there. That's fine to continue doing this work with your arms there. Or you can take your arms together at the forearms. Maybe the hands come and touch one another as well. And we're going to go ahead and lift. And then pull elbows into the chest and just look down at your heart. Lift. Exhale down towards heart. In. Keep going your breath. 2 more. Lift. And exhale. Curl on down, taking your elbows to your knees, letting your head rest into your bicep area, letting your forearms come out and less bend in the elbows right now. So you're just letting everything kind of release without releasing the hands, okay? And then the shoulders can be a little bit more. Find the breath where you need to have it. And then bringing more bend into those elbows, hands come closer to your head as you lift up high. Inhale really high here. And exhale, releasing the arms, and let's go into this position here. Elbows up, elbows down, elbows up. A little higher maybe. Into that praying mantis, right? That Kung Fu guy would do, Kung Fu fighting. My friend who did Kung Fu, teaching me these different moves. Really cool, because so many of the indigenous or traditional, let our arms come down. people use nature to build into their practices, and so do we, right? And so many of the places that we do are related to animals. So let's honor right now cows, sacred in India. We eat them here. Cows, and not we, but most people we. Cow and cat. Okay. Ooh, and some cats are eaten in some countries too, but not here. So hands on your knees, pull on your knees gently, bring yourself forward, let your heart shine, and your bridge of your nose reaches up. And then curl tuck round, slide your hands down your shins if that feels good. Bring yourself up and release, heart forward, chest up, yeah, shoulders down, and with grace and beauty and dignity, your own fashion, with your own breath, your own beauty. When you have a chance, looking down at those feet and see if they are running parallel to one another and they're at the same placement in terms of forward and backward. Like I said, my one foot likes to just jut out there. I don't know why, but I'm tending to it a little bit more now. Let's do one more here. Boy, it warmed up. Feels good. Excellent. Good. And bringing myself up. Let's go into goddess. So opening up again, finding our sits bones at the edge of the chair, but not too far. We don't want to lose that chair, okay? And toes out, heels in, knees and ankles in alignment. And if anything, the knees are pressing a little bit more out than in. We don't want any internal rotation right now. We've had a lot of that. Right now, we want to work the strength of the legs and the glutes, all these big muscles, okay, that are tending to or calling for a lot of oxygen from us. And let's go ahead and lift our arms up. Inhale, exhale, pull them down. If you want, you can like bring fists if you're going to feel more powerful that way. Inhale, lift and look, lengthen, exhale. Power women. Inhale and exhale. Two more. Inhale. Push down with your feet. Push down into the seat. Exhale. And from here, lift up one arm. Pull down on the other. Pull that elbow down into your side body. Lift the other one up. Keep pushing through your feet. And then bring both arms back into power woman arms. And then lengthen one up. Bring the other one down. Pushing into powerful fists here. And then bring them back. And arms come down. If you were pushing with your feet into the ground and squeezing to your glutes and pushing down into your chair, then you need a little break from that. So let's go ahead and release into the inside part of our feet. And let's windshield wiper in just a little different way here. I'm kind of scooting on my sits bones. And it works a little better for me, maybe because I'm on this blanket. It gives me a little bit more range of movement or ability to move, right? I'm not on a solid, I'm on a solid surface of the chair, but the blanket is helping me to do that a bit. All right, and so coming back here again, let's take goddess legs, because we're gonna come into that seaweed asana. So I'm gonna come up onto the balls of my feet this time though, raising my arms up, taking right under left or left under right, it doesn't matter. And then maybe coming up and down onto different rhythms with my feet, maybe leaving them totally grounded, maybe taking both up and keeping them there as my upper body moves, or I start to take my upper body forward, splashing in the water, making circles, figure eights, whatever it is that we're being called to do right now. And coming into stillness and center, releasing arms all the way up. And now my opposite arm is coming underneath, so that's my left under my right. I don't know what you guys did. You can do the opposite. And let's find a little bit more of movement. We're driving by and not looking this way and wondering, what is she doing? So you invite them to come and be in the class here. Moving. And finding center. Releasing arms. Come on up. Exhale down. Walk feet in, little by little. Finding Tadasana, mountain pose. Let's take one more twist. We've only done one or two twists today, so we'll take another one. We'll take one foot in, crossing here, 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 or all the way over if you'd like. Taking one hand behind me, the other arm, hand on my knees, okay? Kind of as a point of leverage. And then taking a look back over my shoulder. Coming back around slowly with a straight spine and releasing and coming back in that opposite direction. And bringing yourself back and forward. Let's switch those legs. Sitting up straight and tall. I'm going to go ahead, take one hand behind me, take my hands across my knees. I look back. And I can keep that foot that's up above on top, either bouncing a little bit or taking some circles. Or just letting it hang. Coming back around one more time, opposite way. The kind of things that I just that you all, I know you're probably doing it already, but just take more note of other parts of your body when we're maybe focused on certain things. Go ahead and release. That you can just kind of come into thinking about what's the rest of my body doing? What could I be doing with it? What may I do with it? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Go ahead and sit back in your chair. You can lean your back up on the chair. You can take those blocks that Denise has relearned or rediscovered or been using to place her feet on the ground so that the backside of her thigh doesn't run into the chair. Or you can come up like this, or you can take your feet if you don't have the blocks. Just take them like that. Or if you want, you can come into a Sukhasana position. And that's just what I'm going to take for now. But most important, wherever you are, spine straight. You can close your eyes for just a moment if you'd like. Breaths. Hopefully having found something in today's practice that will work for you, that you can take from today and build and work into your daily life. Just also that awareness too of our body, physicality, how one thing relates to the other. And then taking hands and crossing them over your heart or at heart center and Anjali Mudra here. Breaths together. And then we're going to end with a group Om. I can't hear you guys, but you can hear yourselves. So take a deep breath in. And Om. And your Oms will become longer more you practice your yoga, because your breath will increase and they'll be longer, and your oxygen use will be more